I wanted to be on the front porch, but my son was here in July and he power washed the front porch. So I was going to sit out there, but with the breeze going both directions, I thought I better get back here where I have a little bit more protection. But back here, I don't know if you can see them, the cobwebs are like this, just everywhere you look. I've got stink bugs. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stink bugs on the screen door right now. And there's a big spider down there. So we were going to power wash the back porch, but the plug wasn't working that day. And we discovered some wasps underneath one of these chairs, the Adirondack chairs. And he goes, "Mom, I'm leaving today. I really don't want to be driving back with, 4 or 5 hornet bites." So I said, okay, we can stop. Anyway, okay, so back to the economy, which should be forefront on everyone's mind. I just saw a quote online, and it was, "The establishment of a central bank is 90% of communizing," that means communizing a nation. Vladimir Lenin. He's attributed to that quote, or that quote is attributed to him. Now think about that. Our central bank, more affectionately known as the Federal Reserve, was created in 1913 by an act of Congress. And it was primarily established to stabilize the banks. And I encourage everyone to do a little history lesson and look up all of that, because it's complex. There are 36,000 websites that answer the questions that are the question that is posed so often online: is the Federal Reserve part of the government? Well, it balances between the public and the private sector, so it remains out of the throes of politics, so to speak. It can still maintain its independence outside of politics, but it is, of course, the headquarters are in Washington, and we are totally governed by the policies that the Federal Reserve sets. So, with that little bit of history, I just want to remind you of the video that I shot, that I uploaded. It was a little bit before the imminent collapse video, and it was talking about the CBDC. Now, since I uploaded that video and let the people that saw it know about CBDC, there is not a day goes by that I don't see it mentioned somewhere online. Things are heating up, and I'll tell you why. Because Biden signed an executive order, I think it's 14067. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I wrote it down this morning. Wait, I've got some notes here. Let me see. I want to make sure I get this right. Where did I put that? 14067, Section 4, in fact, would develop a programmable digital token that can be tracked. So, in other words, everything you spend is tracked and recorded, and they know where you spend it, what you spent, and what you're doing, and where you're going. And that can be turned off by the central bank. We lose all control of our money, in other words. So that's what a CBDC would be. I actually called my local bank. I encourage you to get an account at a local bank that makes independent decisions. I have a bank on the sign that says locally owned, local lending and local decision making. And I called up, and they assured me they were going to continue to deal in cash. And one of the things I said in that video was make sure you're keeping cash in circulation. Spend cash, go to establishments that take cash, keep it in circulation, and keep a supply for yourself. Don't keep all your money in the bank in case something happens to the bank. in an economic crash, we can expect almost anything to happen. Now we have, talk of potential nuclear war as a result of the whole Russia-Ukraine situation. So things are extremely volatile, which means a good understanding of what's going on is really smart. I can't say that I always was. I wasn't. I was very ignorant about economic stuff. And maybe you're like me, and I just kind of did my thing, raised my kids, ran the household, and didn't learn about any of that. Well, I am now, because we are in a much different time than we were then. So besides growing food and taking charge of your own food security, which is what I have been inspiring people to do since I started my channel, and I still am trying to do that, you really need to think about your economic situation as well. Now, let me look at my notes, because I look at all this. Look at all this. I wrote down so many things to tell you. Oh, I wanted to mention a couple of videos that I saw today. And Sorrel Amour Finance, highly recommended. She really does her research. It's very positive. She's very charming and positive. She's not from this country. I'm not sure where she is. She might be. I can't say. She has a little bit of an accent, but she's very intelligent about finance. And if you want to start really learning about what's going on, I highly encourage you to check out her channel. And also, I was watching, where is he? He's the Economic Ninja. I don't know where I wrote it down, but yeah, here it is. And his latest video is called People Will Starve. And so I highly encourage you to watch that. I mean, it's also positive, because in both of these cases, and hopefully in my case too, I am giving you information that is hopeful, because I am hopeful. I am hopeful that a lot of people will wake up and rise up and take charge of their own food security, their own economic security, and their own health freedom too. That's what my prayer is. Economic Ninja says, take time to come up with a plan. There's, so many people have been warning about this, what's going to happen with food shortages and economic crashes, the food plants burning, the supply chain breaking down, and now Europe is facing a very harsh winter with no energy coming from those pipelines, although supposedly the same day that those blew up, there's a new pipeline from Poland or something that I don't know if it's going to provide the power that Europeans desperately need this winter or not. I hope so. I think his final note was to be prepared, not scared. And that's what I hope for everybody too. We have hope. I think the stock market just today was down 500 points. I am not a financial advisor. I am not giving financial advice, but I do know that if you have some hard assets, you're going to be a lot better off if the dollar does go away. I mean, the central bank digital currency, CBDC, central bank digital currency, when it is implemented, it could happen overnight. You could go to your account, you could see this, and even Doug was talking about this the other day on Off Grid with Doug and STACY, the universal basic income. They envision, the World Economic Forum envisions a world where everyone works for a set pay, which they give you in exchange for a certain amount of work, and it will be controlled by this CBDC, this digital currency. Every country will have their own, or there'll be one big one, or it'll all be tied together. Who knows? They have a lot of details to work out. The UK pension funds almost collapsed. I think it was yesterday or day before. They did some kind of maneuverings to get it back up. And the BRICS if you haven't heard this term, you will be hearing more about it. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. They are creating their own commodities exchange. And commodities are things like corn and soybeans and gold and silver and copper and all these hard physical things that people invest in, and they invest it in our country through the COMEX, which is Commodities Exchange. It stands for Commodities Exchange in Chicago, and in London it's called the LBMA, London Bullion and something Market. And BRICS is just saying, hey, the heck with the COMEX, and the LBMA has always kind of called the shots all over the world with the commodities. And the BRICS are saying, hey, we're going to have our own exchange, and we're not going to set prices the way you are. We're going to set them for more towards their real value, according to their judgment, not according to the Fed, which is our Federal Reserve. Silver, for example, the price of silver has been incredibly suppressed. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but silver is actually more precious than gold, even though gold has always historically been valued higher. There is less silver in the ground. Silver is coming out of the ground at 7-to-1, which is the lowest it's ever been. 7 times the amount of silver to 1 time the amount of gold. Right now, it's historically been around 15. So a lot more silver was coming out of the ground. And I was just talking to a bullion dealer the other day, and he was saying that where they're finding silver now is mostly as a byproduct of mining gold and copper, because the silver mines are so deep in the ground with these artificially suppressed low prices of silver that it's not worth it to them to keep drilling deeper and deeper and deeper for silver. So there's less silver, more gold, but this price has been artificially suppressed by one bank in particular. I won't mention names. If this BRICS thing goes through, they get their own prices for their commodities in these other nations. That's going to, it could even crash the COMEX and the LBMA, or they're going to have to, I don't even know if they can adjust, because the prices are so crazy. Now silver, the thing about silver, the reason silver is more precious than gold is because silver, they put silver in all kinds of electronic instruments. Electronics, uses silver, whereas gold, it's just basically collected and used in jewelry. And at one time, of course, gold was the currency, but Nixon took us off the gold standard, so at that point they just started printing money backed up by nothing. And now it's out of control. They just print more money, send billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine to fight this war against Russia. What's that all about? Ask yourself, Meanwhile, is it helping us? Is any of that money helping us, the citizens of our country, helping us family farmers get established and grow food? I mean, that should be like our number one priority. I mean, during World War II, the government was the one who pushed the whole Victory Gardens idea, and just reminded all these, mostly the women who stayed home while their men went off to war. Grandmas, they all had to grow food. We didn't have convenience stores with processed food. It did not exist. It was critical to have Victory Gardens back then, and it's critical to have them now. Let's see, what was the film director? I'll put his name on the screen. I can't keep all of this in my head. But he directed I Am, which was a documentary. And I met him in LA. He did these big lectures for students at Pepperdine. And he said, growing your own food is the most radical thing you can do. So you are an activist, and you are radical if you grow your own food. There have been so many floods and earthquakes all over the world in the last 2 weeks. It's unreal. So things are definitely heating up in a lot of ways. And if there was ever a time, here I'm coming to the punchline, if there was ever a time to not throw your money away, to not purchase that 6-pack or 12-pack, that case of beer, or that iPhone upgrade, or you know, a night at the movies or a weekend away, this would be the time to take that money and put it into hard assets. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm telling you, if you have any of those pre-1965 dimes and quarters that are, I think 90% silver, don't turn those in. You hang on to those, because they're going to be worth a lot of money if all of this happens the way people predict it to. And if you have any, you know, if you can take a few dollars and buy something that's you can barter, or buy some bullion that you can hang on to that's going to go up in value, some ounces of silver, or some it's actually called junk bullion dealers. It's getting harder and harder to find, but and there's a very high premium, but you can get what they call junk, which is the dimes and the quarters from pre-1965. The spot price for silver is around $19, $20, something like that, and that's artificially suppressed. You're not going to be able to buy an American Eagle for that. You're going to pay $30 to $40 for an American Eagle, because those dealers are having to work a lot harder to find the silver. They're having to wait longer, and it's harder to find. So if you have an opportunity to buy some, this would be an excellent time to do that. If there are other things that you need to be stocking up on, please do so. Think of all the preps that people have mentioned. I hope this is helpful, and if it has been, please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, so you scroll down and click all so you won't miss an upload right here on the homestead. Next, coming up, I have about 5 or 6 videos in the pipeline. I've got a pinched nerve in my back, so I've been nursing that. I hope to get back at my editing later today. I've got a lot of stuff to do in the kitchen, a lot of preserving to do. So I appreciate your time. I hope it's helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you next time.